Hello everybody out there and welcome to the 300th episode of this Dark Avenger Comic Book Review.
Yep.
As of this video, all the announcements have been made. I really hope you guys like all the announcements. A lot of them, like I said, won't be starting until September. As far as this show, the numbering will continue, but the show will be changing to World's Finest Comic Review. As much as I want to keep and rebuild on my channel name, Mike and I like the idea of the World's Finest Comic Review Show, which is where we'll be dividing up all of our books, either doing solo reviews or group reviews with 2 or 3 books instead of just one. And I feel like separating the show will be really good for you guys, because let's say you have only a certain amount of time, a 50-minute long episode versus 5 or 6 3 to 4 minute long episode or reviews just works so much better, I think, and it's easier, and it gives you guys the ability to leave and come back and check out the rest of the reviews later, or if there's a book you just don't care about, you don't have to see the review for it. Unfortunately, we will not be doing any of the changes for the review show until the indie review hits 100. I say unfortunately, but at the same time, I know you guys love the indie review as well. So the channel reviews will be running the same at least for the next 5 weeks until the indie review hits 100. Once the indie review hits 100, the official changes will begin. We might start the big 2 books early with the solo reviews, maybe a week early, but the indie review as of episode 100, at least until episode 100, will not be affected. So this will be the last video for the 300 comic review celebration. Tomorrow I have 2 solo reviews for this channel. I promised one person I would be doing a solo review, and the other person I'm doing it because it's been a while. I've had the books for a while, and I really want to do at least 2 solo reviews to give you guys a little bit of a taste of what's to come. And then from there we'll wait a couple more weeks before we start really digging into the solo and group reviews on this channel and with Comic Frontline. But we're very excited for all the announcements we made. There might be an outro video tomorrow just to kind of round out everything that's happened this weekend. It's been a hectic weekend, and I apologize that a lot of the announcements, we shot them all at different times of the day, but uploading, for some reason, I literally had just caught, you know, there were certain times of the day only where I could record. And I apologize if we look like we're swatting at each other. There's this little fly and it's driving me
crazy.
Well, now it's not driving me crazy anymore. The Flash!
Whoa, 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 whoa. These books were released.
These books were released on
July 29, 2015, the last week of July.
And don't worry, guys, if you do like the format of the show, like I made the announcement right before this video, there is the comic book recap where we'll be giving very brief final thoughts on all the books we've already reviewed, solo or grouped, each and every week. So 2 shows will make basically 1. Anyway, the Flash Annual number 4, like I was saying. This does not continue the Flash story at all, and I assumed after last week that this annual was going to move the story forward. It does not. It shows Zoom finding and bringing people into his group. He looks to team up with all these different people who have powers, if not through the Speed Force, through other means, basically to combat the Flash, because he lies to them and tells them that the Flash is going to be the evilest person, or at least he's not really lying. It's Zoom. He believes he's telling the truth, but he brings these people together to form a team to stop the Flash, or to end the Flash. And we find out every piece of the book is a different person who joins the team. It starts off with a woman who has the ability to keep people young. She kind of has like godlike powers. Another one's a woman that can't be moved. A boy who can make like himself into tornadoes. A man who has like elastic abilities and he's able to move quick. And then we find out at the end of the issue, the biggest twist is he instigated the situations where he showed up and actually offered to help them and at the same time offer them a chance to become more than what they already are, and to help him stop the Flash. This is an excellent read, but at the same time, it didn't continue the story, so it's kind of like, okay, I understand they had to explain the team, I guess, but at the same time, it's like, I wanted more, especially with the Flash book. So with that, I guess I'm going to have to give the Flash another issue in the main series before I can honestly judge if I want to keep the series or not. I may wait till the end of this story arc and then let it go or keep it. An annual that did, however, continue its story was Deathstroke's annual. Deathstroke annual number 1 continues right where the last issue, the issue last week, left off. Wonder Woman and Slade, along with the Amazons, versus Leptatus. I'm very bad with these Greek god names. Leptatus. Let's call him Leptatus. And Wonder Woman and Slade attempt to attack him, and they get sent to another realm. A realm where Leptatus is trying to destroy their will and basically break them. Together they fight this army of demons, and then they somehow get separated, and Leptatus tries to break Slade's will. He tries to break Wonder Woman's will. Don't let the cover fool you, by the way. Superman does not guest in this issue, only as a means of Leptatus to try to break Wonder Woman. Does Superman show up? So it's not really Superman. It's more of a mirage, or it's fake. I will say this: the Finches are what do you call it? Not the Finches. Tony S. Daniels' artwork is excellent for this book, and I really liked it a lot. I don't know why. I guess it's because Wonder Woman, and I was thinking about the Finches. Tony S. Daniels' artwork is excellent in this book. I really liked it a lot, and it really humbled Slade a little bit in this book. And at the same time, Wonder Woman actually ends up saving Slade, and together they decide to attack Leptatus, and it actually ends with them back. They break out of the realm, and now they're aiming to take out and defeat Leptatus once and for all. This book is one of those moments where, yes, the story did progress, but if you missed the annual, is it really important? I don't think so, because really the story itself, Slade versus Leptatus, didn't happen. So it's really more of a building up for the grand fight. However, I would definitely recommend it. The artwork's gorgeous, the story in this was really good, and it definitely adds to Slade's character, Deathstroke. It really adds to him a lot.
Okay, this isn't going to be an origin story. This is actually altogether of He-Man the Eternity War issue number 8. All characters are now together instead of just talking about one specific character, and I'll explain why. Like, we all know that King Adam is Adam and no longer He-Man because of, we found out the reason why he did so. So he has a talk with Tila. By the way, the artwork's really amazing.
I want to get that fly.
Yeah. And he's just saying, Horak wants to know what I'm made of, and I can't just, like Tila, like, you said I could be Adam. How can I be as Adam? So he doesn't want to, she doesn't want to tell him the future. All she just says is, your journey isn't finished yet. If you want to find out more, definitely read the book. Meanwhile, Lord Horak with Evelyn have a evil plan of what they're going to do as, the war is coming. While Grayskull, who turned on She-Ra, who didn't see this coming, being evil again.
Skeletor?
Oh, I'm sorry, Skeletor, right. I'm thinking Grayskull. Skeletor turns on She-Ra, and who didn't see that coming because the lock and everything. And then Lord Horak makes an announcement saying, basically that he has the power. Surrender King Adam, I am the master of the universe, to be continued in the next issue. And I believe I said Grayskull in the comic Frontline review, and a little bit of a mistake, kind of.
I'll tell you, Adam has to get that sword back.
But he, after seeing the Surrender King Adam, he's not going to surrender, and sooner or later he's just going to wind up being He-Man and just beat Lord Horak right there and then.
I love this variant cover for Superman issue 42. We find out in this issue how Superman lost his powers. Or we sort of did, at least. It definitely presents more questions. Anyway, Clark survived the end of the last issue, so everybody can relax. He didn't die from getting shot. But they do get attacked by these agents or these weird tech zombie people, and Clark fights them off easily, and Lois finally makes the discovery once again. But this time there is no Brainiac to erase her brain from finding out that Clark Kent is Superman. And she deduced it all by herself because Clark's been getting sloppy. Why? Because DC Comics had to introduce this new, stupid, idiotic supernova power that apparently Superman has now. And they go to Toyman. Clark finds out who's been blackmailing him. It's Hoarder Root, which is basically this technological group of people who basically find the deep dark secrets out for big people, like big people. Clark being one of the big people, you know, finding out the true identity of Superman is a huge deal apparently, and uses it as either leverage to make people do what they want, or puts them to work for the company. So they, long story short, break into Hoarder Plex, and it turns out the whole thing was a trap. The woman that Clark saved, it was all a trap. It was all to get Clark into Hoarder Plex, and to force Clark either to help them, or they're going to expose him, his identity to the world, and put all the people Clark cared about in jeopardy. And of course, Clark, long story short, goes supernova again. But this time when he goes supernova, somebody shows up in the shadows, and we don't get to see him. But it looks like they've drained him of more than, well, we know when his supernova power happens, it takes him about a week or so to, not a week, a couple of days to really power back up. But this being looks like he sucked way more out of Clark, and it's going to take a long time, if ever, for him to get his powers back now. And Clark's out cold by the end of the issue. So now Lois knows the truth. We now know how Clark lost his powers, like fully lost his powers. And now the question is, will Clark ever get his powers back? Obviously, in Action Comics right now, and Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman, Superman, he's going through the after effects of what's happening in Superman right now. But I tell you, I'll be honest with you, that supernova power's dumb. As much as this direction is interesting, at the same time, I can't wait to get through it. So this way we can move forward, get his powers back, and hopefully maybe get some more of a Superman feel to this Superman, because it doesn't feel like Superman. And as happy as I am that my Superman's coming back, it's still not my Superman, because it's my Superman in the future with 2 kids. How long is this series going to last? I have no clue.
We are now. I thought he had 1.
No, apparently now he has 2.
Oh.
The boy from Convergence, and he had another.
Oh, didn't know that.
Anyway. We're now in Marvel. Star Wars issue number 7 is an Obi-Wan Kenobi journal issue. It's a standalone issue where Obi-Wan is now on Tatooine. He just gave Luke to his aunt and uncle. Now time has passed, and Luke is a young boy now. And Obi-Wan is struggling not being a Jedi anymore, because, Darth Vader and the Sith Lord are, on the hunt for all remaining Jedi to destroy them. And Obi-Wan is struggling not to do what he's done for so many years as a Jedi, as a general even. So these people on Tatooine are suffering through a drought. Jabba the Hutt's men are forcing them to give Jabba their I forgot what it was called, their water. And Obi-Wan does make a couple of moves as a Jedi, but in the shadows. And then Luke, as a boy Luke, stands up against them and says the water doesn't belong to Jabba. It belongs to the farmers that have been farming it. And as he's about to be killed, let's say it that way, Obi-Wan steps in, and because of what Luke did, Obi-Wan's what was the word he's looking for? His hope has kind of been restored through seeing what Luke did as a boy, and now he's hoping that one day he'll be able to tell Luke not only about all of his stories, all of his travels and whatnot, but also to tell him this specific story about how he was giving up, literally, because he wasn't a Jedi, he was nothing, he was just existing, and he didn't believe that Luke would ever, because the uncle and aunt didn't want Obi-Wan to teach Luke in the ways of the Jedi. So he was losing all hope on everything, and then out of nowhere Luke does something, and Obi-Wan now has renewed faith and hope in himself and in the future. I love this issue. It was great. It was a standalone Obi-Wan issue. I do hope we get more of these. It was great. Artwork was excellent. I loved it. Daredevil issue 17. Just when you think that Matt's got everything figured out, things go crazy. The Shroud in the last issue was attempting to get his wife. And we find out he fails, but it turns out Kingpin actually has kidnapped Shroud's wife and also has Matt's friends. And the deal that Matt was attempting to make, or the offer Matt was attempting to make, well, now Kingpin says, I think you need to we need a recounsel because I have your friends now. I have the upper hand, so now I get to call the shots. And he also has, what's his name, Ikari working for him. And basically, there's only one thing Kingpin wants Matt Murdock to do. Die. And if Ikari doesn't kill him and he kills or stops or ends Ikari, one of two of his friends will be killed, either Foggy or Kristen, and I have a very strong feeling I know who it's going to be. But anyway, the fight between Daredevil and Ikari is awesome. I love how Matt had the original costume, the original Daredevil costume, underneath his actual suit, and in the end, Shroud kind of interrupts the fight, and Matt finally kind of figures out a way to save both of his friends and still defeat Ikari. However, like I said, the Shroud screws things up, and now possibly one of Matt's friends has met an untimely end. To be continued. And I love how Kingpin explained himself so great. There's a really good moment in this book where Kingpin's like, you exposed yourself. And it's true. During Mark Waid's first run, Matt was like, I'm not Daredevil, even though the world knew he was Daredevil. Then he finally embraced and said, yes, I am Daredevil. And that's where Kingpin said, that was your downfall. I do everything in the shadows. Nobody knows what I'm doing. I am completely, no one has anything on me. You went completely public with everything. You made it almost too easy to get the upper hand on you. And it's true. Dark, conniving Kingpin was able to get one up on Matt Murdock. But now, will Daredevil be able to save both of his friends and stop the Kingpin? Because apparently Kingpin's been planning this for a very, very, very long time. I'm really excited to see where this goes.
Battleworld Age of Ultron versus Marvel Zombies, issue number 2. And basically, I could sum up this book in, like, literally a couple sentences. Basically, it starts off where, well, the Punisher, who actually fights off against the zombies, but then loses tragically, where the Ultron people want to speak with the zombies, which can't be good. And then at the Shield, by the way, here's some artwork. We saw in the last issue how, you know, America was...
Miss America.
Yeah, Miss America was with the Sentinels to find out where Hank Pym is. And Hank Pym, along with Vision, Jim Hammond, and... why can't I remember his name for the life of me? Show him around... oh, Jimmy, actually. Where they're showing him around, you know, about the force fields where humans could get in and not zombies. And it's really interesting how, you know, the Hank Pym doesn't really know more scientific because the other universe Hank Pym knows, and this one's like just brand new to science. So that's how he knows about that. We get a little bit of how Jim talks about how, you know, the whole thing of Vision became to be with his blood, and basically the whole story about what we know today, how they had to fight wars with the Ultrons. And they want to fight the Ultrons along with science. So, oh, Simon's his name, not Jimmy. Simon, actually, my mistake. So, at the end of the issue, the Ultrons are going to be working with the zombies.
Wow. So it went from a versus book in 2 issues to a team-up.
So now it's Ultron and Marvel Zombies against...
the Shield.
Yeah, the Shield.
And that's what's going on in Marvel Zombies, where you see them all teaming up.
I was really shocked saying, wow. The story was great. There was not one disappointment, actually, in any books I read this week at all, really, to be honest.
X-Men 92, issue number 2. The X-Men are now under the Shadow Thief, I believe it is. Under her control, basically. They are in the machine now, and one by one, let me get the name so I don't forget. Shadow King. The Shadow King is forging or trying to break the X-Men to create the new X-Men, or their new X-Men, and she breaks Wolverine. She attempts to break Storm. That doesn't go so well. Beast was pretty open, but she ended up rejecting him completely, and she changed things around with Gambit and Rogue, but in the end they ended up passing or being approved for her BSP test. And we find out that Jubilee finds a bunch of rejected mutants that couldn't, in her eyes, be fixed. Nova, her name is, couldn't be fixed. And then Beast gets thrown in, and we find out a little bit more about what Nova has going on underneath her establishment. And X-Force shows up at the end of the issue.
Mm-hmm.
The X-Force that's led by Cable, with Archangel, Psylocke, Bishop, Deadpool, and Domino. Cable got a distress call from Professor X, and we find out that something very, 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 very super bad might have happened to Professor X. I'm not saying it here because I have a feeling that it might not be 100% true. It's just a way to leave you on a cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
That is a very brief version of what you read in this book. A lot of dialogue and a lot of this woman trying to make... the Wolverine thing, kind of the ending for Wolverine kind of annoyed me just a little bit. I would think Wolverine would be a little bit smarter than that, but in the end, it's going to be up to Jubilee, Beast, and a few other people. A few other X-Men do show up, or future X-Men show up. It's going to be up to them to save the original X-Men, as well as, hopefully, Professor X as well. But this was an excellent read. Really liked it.
Okay. Last book for me, Deadpool Secret Wars issue number 3, which shockingly was really good.
I think this is renewing your love for Deadpool, and maybe you'll grab the ongoing
Absolutely,
series.
yeah. Well, hopefully if that goes good, let's see. So it just talks about how Deadpool along with the teams are just fighting in the combat against I forgot who they were called. I can't remember what their names were. Basically, they fight like Thunderbolt, I think his name is, with the wrecking ball thing, and Deadpool just knocks him out completely. And it just keeps going back and forth where Wade, the regular Wade, is with this girl who could heal people. And by the way, here's some artwork, which is really good. And what's interesting about this issue is that there's this new device where Deadpool actually turned into something that was not a symbiote, but anything he could think of. He could be anything, like Fantastic Four and a Half, Captain America, Ascend of Liberty, and all this other stuff. And I like how he says the Spider-Man tribe, because it's like ironic, because
that's what happens
with Spider-Man in the war, as you can see here. So they're trying to fight off against Galactus after all that's happened, but we find out that there's a lot more than Galactus that they have to fight off against. And let's just say that this is where Dr. Doom comes in, saying that he is the new ruler since the Beyonder is dead. And Deadpool actually did something, the Wade's Deadpool did something that was something I actually never thought he would do, to help save people. That was really amazing, in my opinion.
And my last book and favorite book of the week was Thors, issue number 2. Beta Ray Bill's funeral is at the beginning of this book. Ultimate Thor promises vengeance, and there's a really heartfelt speech from Allfather in the beginning of or Odin in this in the beginning of this book. The Thors go and round up the usual suspects. Ultimate Thor actually goes to what was this? To another facility looking for Jane Foster. It turns out that Jane Foster's disappeared already, and the Thors already dealt with her stuff. And we get the first meeting of 616 Thor and Ultimate Thor. And because you know what happened after, oh, I forgot what it was called already. Original Sin, where Thor lost his hammer, they called the 616 Thor the Unworthy because he lost his hammer. And obviously in this world it was a different reason why he lost his hammer. But there's a brief fight between the two Thors, and he warns Ultimate Thor if he's not careful, he's going to become unworthy to hold his hammer as well. And I love how 616 Thor is like, the hammer doesn't make the Thor makes the hammer. It was just really awesome, and it's definitely the reason why the 616 Thor, or Thor the Unworthy, is the true and really honestly definitive Thor. And we find out there is another death. However, it's not another Jane Foster. Spoiler alert. Donald Blake.
Really?
In one universe, there's another death, and it's an old man, or an old man who works medicine, or an old hammer salesman named Donald Blake. And while the name doesn't really hit Ultimate Thor, he still says, for some reason, I feel like this name should matter. And then the ending, that I'm leaving off till the next issue. But let's just say Thor has his next suspect. And it was somebody from the first issue. I'm really loving the way Thor is going.
Yeah, I'm surprised you like that because of the long dialogue and everything. That's another surprise that you like.
So, other than really one or two books that I feel were average this week, it was a pretty good week. I really did enjoy a lot of the books I read.
Here.
The only book that I'd say, again, which was kind of okay, was X-Men 92. And, of course, Flash Annual number 4. Those were the two. Flash Annual number 4 falls under an average read, and X-Men 92 falls under an average read because I mean, it was interesting. No, I would say a little bit above average, but other than that, the rest of the books I really loved a lot. It was a really great week. And with that, that's it for the 300 comic review celebration in one part. Yeah. I really hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. And we hope you guys enjoyed the entirety of the 300 Comic Review Celebration. Look forward to 2 solo reviews tomorrow, both from indie books, or indie companies I should say, and maybe an outro video. We'll see how that goes. We'll see if I have the time for it. If not, then Dark Avenger Live this Friday will be more of a rounding out of what was announced. Yep. I hope you guys like the announcements. I know a lot of you guys have been watching. Hopefully you guys will comment. Let me know what you guys think about all the announcements, and hopefully you guys like the new format for the reviews. It'll give you guys a little bit more time and spread things out a little bit more so you guys won't be forced to sit through an entire 50-minute show. Or in this case, we were lucky. It was only 28 minutes, so almost a half hour. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. As always, don't forget to check out ComicFrontline.com, Zone4Podcast.com, and Frontline Gaming Zone. Together we are your #1 source for comic-related news, reviews, and a whole bunch more. Thank you guys so much for being here with us this wonderful, awesome, and really great weekend. We hope you guys enjoyed as much as we did, and we will see you guys next week for another comic review. Take care, everybody.
Later, everyone.